Rudy didn't just set the standard for all of us. Rudy was the standard.
In the SEAL teams, someone simply needs to say Rudy, and you instantly know who they're speaking of.
Dad, you are forever will be our hero. You had led an amazing life, and now it is time to rest with an old Milwaukee beer in hand next to Mom.
And so we meet in remembrance of a mind so fit and true. We're here to pay our last respects, to say we love you.
Previously on the top 100 greatest survivors.
Big Tom is one of the funniest people that I've ever met in my life.
He's probably the smartest player to ever play Survivor.
He's just super pleasant and lovely to be around, and he's a great person.
I was very hopeful to work well with Eliza.
Jonathan Penner is one of the funniest players and one of the most entertaining players that I've ever watched.
But Cass, I have no beef with Cass. She's awesome.
In my mind, she was a winner, so I treated her like a winner.
Danny plays a game that is so underrated.
Dave is just one of the nicest guys inside of the game and outside of the game.
It was awesome to play with Dom. He out there on the island, we became very close.
And now, the countdown to number one continues. The greatest game on television, and these its most respected players.
Who is your number one?
The number one spot.
Number one spot.
Who deserves to be number one?
It's impossible to pick one that's the greatest survivor of all time.
It's time to celebrate the castaways, the legends.
The number one survivor of all time has to be...
This is the top 100 greatest survivors.
Hello, this is the Once Upon an Island YouTube channel here again, and our number 50 survivor is somebody who did the unthinkable, something that no one could have ever predicted happening when this show first started. She has played on Survivor 3 times, but her first was the most memorable. Every season, we can only hope that something this iconic happens again, but nothing will ever live up to the time that this survivor voted out her own birth mother.
You know, I think while she was in the game, she really ran that alliance with her, Wentworth, and Abby. You know, she was kind of the person who people would deal with when they wanted, you know, those votes. And she, you know, would just like straight-faced lie to your face. And she has this like, super innocent-looking face. And like when she's like saying all these absurd slanders about Savage, you're like, you know what, I believe it coming from you.
I was a teen mom, so I got pregnant when I was 17 in high school. That was a huge game change for me and my mom. It was a really hard obstacle for us to get through.
You guys, this is where I'm at right here. Right. I'm number 4, so let's not bull me.
I am number 4. I've seen it since.
Okay, then
because
cool.
I know I'm number 4.
Cool.
Let's
draw rock. We draw rock. Fine. You ain't gotta say no more. You think you're number 4, we ain't gotta say no more.
Here's the thing. I'm drawing rocks unless somebody's voting my way. I'm drawing rocks.
Okay, so I'll draw rocks too.
Okay, we're drawing rocks.
Sierra is also very loyal, so I work with Sierra very closely in Cambodia. And so if you're on her side, I think that she's a great asset. But I think if you are not on her side, then you should be scared, because she is willing to do anything to get to the end.
I want to go as far as I can with my mom. But on the same hand, if my mom needs to go, let's head back. In order for me to win the game, she needs to go because I have a better shot of winning than she does. Wanting to sit at the end with my mom, but it just won't happen. It's not practical. And I get one shot at this, one shot, and I don't want to mess it up.
She has the courage now to say to her mom, Mom, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. And by the way, I may have to vote you out of that $1 million. And the fact that my daughter has the courage to say that to me shows that she has grown as a woman.
The person voted out of Survivor Blood versus Water. Laura, that's 5, that's enough. Need to bring me your torch.
Sierra, when you look at a person that, when CBS asked me to come back again and said, send me pictures of your 3 kids. I have 2 boys in Sierra. My boys were jonesing to be picked. I mean, they're athletic. They like to camp. They ride Harleys. And Sierra's like, wouldn't even do the obstacle course at church camp. She's like, I don't want to camp. I'm not competitive. Wanted nothing to do with this at all. And so to see, I think that's what America saw about her going out there completely out of her element, right? Like most Americans are watching this game, and to watch her adapt to what she needed to do to win and to get further. Her sense of discernment was always spot on. And I definitely think that that is a good characteristic of a all-time top Survivor player. You got to know when somebody's lying to you. You got to know when your spidey sense is going off and you're like, this doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right. I need to make a move. She did that on her first season. If you go back and watch, like every single time, she knew when to jump and when not to jump.
While no one can ever live up to how blown away Jeff was by Sierra voting out her mom, our number 49 survivor is someone who also blew Jeff Probst's mind, as someone Jeff thought this person would never have a chance of winning the game. This player even received a handwritten note from Jeff saying how he would never win, and yet in his 2 times playing, he finished in 4th and 2nd.
He's someone who we would just talk for like literally hours, like running different scenarios. Now, I didn't at the time know that he was running those scenarios against me, but that's also what makes him so good, is that he's able to engage strategically with people, even as he plots against them.
In 2010, I entered the World Open Chess Tournament, and I tied for 1st. I certainly don't look diabolical or like a genius, both of which I am. I will go down as one of the best players to play, and I want to play an awesome game.
In Cambodia, too, it was, we really saw sort of a more personal Spencer, a more human Spencer than maybe we did in Cagayan. But, just in general, Spencer is such a great, sincere guy who also is just a really brilliant game player.
I'm trying to make a pitch to Tony to keep me believing it's a final 2 and believing that that's the best way for him to get to the end. It makes sense to take me. Tony is my last hope.
14th person voted out, and the 8th member of our jury. Spencer, need to bring me your torch?
Well done. Yeah, when I played with Spencer, the first time when I played with Spencer, I seen he was very smart. He knew the game very well. The thing that I noticed, though, he didn't have any influence on the players. Maybe that's because he's young and they didn't take him as serious as they should. Maybe because he looks like a nice person. Sometimes you got to look the part. You got to look like you're an aggressor. You got to look tough and big. And he didn't look like that. So they didn't take him serious. And if somebody doesn't take you serious, you can't influence them to vote the way you want. You can't even make them listen to you, actually. They just brush you up like, okay, yeah, whatever you say. And that's what I noticed with Spencer, because I was paying attention, because I'm not like that. I don't judge a book by its cover. I judge it by what's inside the book, And I seen Spencer, and he was sharp, and he was, he knew the game, and he knew what was going on. He was thinking 2-3 steps ahead. So he was a big threat for me. And when I seen everybody wanted to get rid of him, that's when I said, you know what, let me work with him. But Spencer, I love the guy. He's an awesome dude. I still talk with him now, as a matter of fact.
While Spencer is the definition of a modern-day strategist, our number 48 survivor is somebody who is the definition of an old-school survivor. Finishing in 4th place in her first season, she was well known for her accent, her laugh, and having the most infamous Final Tribal Council speech of all time.
I'm a redneck, and I don't know corporate world at all. And corporate world ain't gonna work out here in the bush.
No, and I'm not talking corporate world. I'm talking creating a team, and working together.
We're doing good, but See, so creating team is actually putting all of our hands together and walking and...
Not hands, all of us knowing what we're doing.
Yeah, the head thing, yeah, but that's action, man. Action, Richard.
Let me start with season 1. In the original season of Survivor, I went into the show with a plan to win. And there are lots of things that went into that plan unfolding. Building an alliance was a big part of it. I decided to build alliance before the game even started, and I started to select who might be part of that alliance quite early. Sue Hawk was a part of that alliance.
Okay, so here's the deal. I want you to pick her to be ejected, not me, so you can plan that.
The alliance that we have going on is Rich, Rudy, Kelly, and me. We'll vote 4 people strong. And if we can make it through the first 2 votes, getting somebody off of their team off, we should be able to slide into home plate.
I loved spending time with Sue Hawk, that she is just such an original. And Sue Hawk does not change who she is for anyone. We talk about Survivor players who adapt. That is not her strong suit. That Sue Hawk is going to be Sue Hawk, whether she's on a tribe full of Sue Hawks or she's on a tribe full of Richards or whatever other character you want to put her around. She is going to be distinctively and uniquely Sue Hawk every single step of the way, and she is one of the all-time great Survivor characters. Her speech at the end of the first final tribal council back in Survivor Borneo is not just an all-time Survivor classic, it is an all-time television classic and is my favorite moment from the entire series of Survivor.
20 years later, people still talk about the snake and rat speech. That's Sue Hawk.
And in the end of Mother Nature, we have Richard the snake, who knowingly went after prey, and Kelly, who turned into the rat that ran around like the rats do on this island, trying to run from the snake. I feel we owe it to the island's spirits that we have learned to come to know, to let it be in the end the way Mother Nature intended it to be, for the snake to eat the rat.
While Sue gave that amazing final tribal council speech, our number 47 survivor was on the receiving end of this lashing out, as she was deemed the Luke Skywalker of her first season, which, to be fair, she did say herself in a confessional, and since she lost by 1 vote to the original villain of Survivor, that season must be the Empire Strikes Back of Survivor.
You know, if there was ever one player who I most ascribed to being old school, it's Kelly Wigglesworth. Ladies and gentlemen, internet, my name is Peridiam, and let's go back to the beginning. Survivor Borneo, with the first runner-up in Survivor history, we have Kelly. I'm a big fan of Borneo, and Kelly is one of my favorites from it, as she provides us with that extra element that shakes up the middle and end game of the season. And in a time when the game could not be younger, it was nice to have. Despite Kelly losing to Rich in a close vote, 4-3, she actively controlled her destiny during that season and demonstrated a lot of character, infusing a touch of morality into what otherwise could just be a game of people chess. But Survivor has never been just chess, and Kelly reminds me of that.
I feel like I agreed to be in an alliance, and then I didn't want to be in it anymore, but I was too chicken to tell him that. And I tried to play both sides. I tried to vote how I wanted to vote, do what I thought was right, but not let them in on it because, hell, I want to stay in the game.
Sure, she was in an alliance, yuck. And yeah, she was voting out people that she thought deserved the money more than the people she was keeping around, that rat. But by getting in good with the eventual jurors from Pagong, she actually won a few over. She realized she was probably on the bottom of the Tagi 4, and rightfully so, she was. And so, she set a precedent that to this day, literally over 20 years later, has still not been broken. She won 4 individual immunity challenges in 1 season for a woman, reached the final 2, and nearly won the entire game, all on her own merit. She didn't need this alliance to carry her, bro. People like to say if Kelly had won, the show would be a lot different. but I don't think so. I think it would have been pretty much just as great.
I'm voting strategically, so are they, and they still think I'm in the stupid alliance because if I told them I didn't want to be, they'd vote me off, so I'm trying to save my own ass. So how bold and wonderful is that? I don't care what I say to people. I don't care if I'm nice to anybody at camp anymore. I do not give a and it feels so good. It's great. I love it.
And yeah, she came back 30 seasons later, I think, and, well, times had changed. But regardless of that, Kelly will always be remembered as one of the greats.
Wigglesworth is an outdoors goddess. Like I remember there was one moment on Bion where she leaps up, yells, everyone back. We were clustered over our rice container, and she leaps across the camp and chops this tiny little scorpion in two that none of us had even seen. She's like, this one is super dangerous. Thank God we got it in time. It was the greatest feat of outdoorsmanship I think I saw in my entire time on Survivor.
Wigglesworth will forever live in our minds as to make us wonder what would have happened to Survivor if the original winner of the show was her instead of Richard Hatch. Well, our number 46 Survivor was snarky, funny, and came very close to winning it all, just like Wigglesworth. However, an amazing final tribal council performance by her opponent ultimately left her with no shot.
You could just tell that she was a different type of player, a different type of persona, and definitely the sarcastic wit that might come good on television. In the moment when we're trying to set up camp, it could be quite frustrating.
Hell yeah, man!
I don't know where you got that idea. I'm a waitress from New York City, dude. What do you think? Do you think I know how to do any of this stuff? You know, I'm not trying to be a monk here. I'm tired. I want to go sit back with a lemonade. I don't really want to be bowing 37 times. And we bowed for days. I swear to God, we were there forever. I'm sorry, I am easily irritated. I seem to be sort of marooned in a land of flight attendants and Sunday school teachers. Come on. I live in a city. People who live in New York don't act like this. This is my own private hell. They're exactly the kind of people that I don't like being around, who are all everything's always great. Isn't it amazing? You're doing a really good job with that.
Courtney Yates is an interesting Survivor player because at the time I would have said one in the game, everybody wanted to take her to the end because we were this bitch hasn't done nothing. She's clearly getting dragged to the end by everyone solely because they think she can't win, And at the very end, at Final Tribal Council, when you're able to talk about your game, she almost convinced me to vote for her. I mean, it was so persuasive. And basically her whole argument was, I'm not winning any challenges. She's like, I knew I wasn't going to win challenges. She's like, look at me, she's like, I knew that strategically, this probably wasn't my game either. She's like, I'd never watched this show before I came on. You know what I mean? So, but she's like, what are the tenets? It's outwit, outplay, and outlast. And so she goes, what was my one strength? She's like, I knew that I could outlast. She's like, I caught on very quickly that nobody thought I was a threat because of those factors, and that would help get me far. So she's like, I kind of played that up a little bit. I was a little bit acerbic, everything, whatever it took. She's like, she lowered her threat level so much that did get her all the way to the end. And she was like, that was my strategy. And the fact that she was able to articulate that is what really kind of almost convinced me, because somebody could have just done it without saying, this is what I'm doing. But her articulating it as a strategy, you're like, this is fucking brilliant.
Usually on a regular season, you get a bunch of duds. This time, there were just no pawns here. It was everyone was the master of the chessboard, and they were all playing a different game. So I sum up the experiences. I'm really glad I came and did it. I did the best I could, and getting on the jury on an All-Stars, that's not that easy.
While Courtney is a lot of people's fan favorite of Survivor China, our number 45 Survivor was truly the fan favorite of the first Survivor season. He, like Courtney, made a lot of hilarious jokes while maintaining his deadpan expression and delivery. Despite playing in the first season of the show, he still holds the record as the oldest castaway in history.
A remarkable human being. His record in the military was impressive.
He was incredibly tough, and he was adaptable.
Paddling over, we had 2 or 3 of those boxes in the water, dragging them behind the raft, and that is dumb. I said, let's get them boxes aboard. It'll be a lot easier. You know, that's dead weight you got. The hardest part is hanging around with all these young kids. I don't even know what MTV means, you know. And I'm used to being in the military, and one guy stands up and gives an order, and there's no back talk. You know, like yesterday, everybody's trying to run the show, and if they'd let one person do it, we'd be much better off. Before we got on the island here, I formed opinions about people, but I changed my mind just on that trip in. Rich, for one. I mean, this guy he's strong, he's smart, the guy surprises me. You know, he's fat, but he's good.
Let me talk a little bit about my friend, Rudy Boesch. He did things for the show that still today people don't realize, I think. I'm so proud to have interacted with him in the ways we did, to share how absurd it is that people can't get along. People from different backgrounds, from different cultures, from different mindsets, whatever it is, because we can. Those people who put Survivor together chose Rudy because they knew he was a crotchety old bastard, a 72-year-old Navy SEAL who they counted on kind of being really absolutely incapable of bonding with the Army guy who happens to be gay, never mind fat, me, on Survivor. So instantly on the boat, I looked at Rudy and made him part of my alliance. We hadn't even been kicked off the boat to start the show yet, and we'd never even spoken to one another, but I could see it, I could tell, I got who Rudy was. And I can relate to that. I'm not concerned about Rudy saying things like he's fat and he's queer, but he's smart. That doesn't, people thought, oh, how did you handle that? Why didn't you take his head off? Because it's freaking true. I'm fat and I'm queer and I'm smart. I loved it. He's amazing, and I love and respect people who shoot from the hip and say what they're really thinking. This superficial nonsense crap is for the birds, and Rudy had none of it in him. Rudy was just there. He was just, what he was thinking was what you were gonna hear. And for me, particularly in the game of Survivor, that was critical. He's a really great guy, and you know, I think Survivor, the game, and the opportunity for the world to get to know who he was a wonderful thing.
Like Rudy, our number 44 Survivor also has a deadpan expression and delivery when cracking jokes. She also has a no-nonsense personality, and despite being well known for winning Survivor, a little known fact about her is that she is the only Survivor in history to win 2 immunity challenges in a single day.
I mean, she is so good at puzzles. She's physically as strong as anyone out there, and then strategically is super sound. And she's just good with people. She's fun, she's funny. She is like an all-around total package. You know, I'm sad for her that it ended the way it did, but I think she totally proved herself in the amount of time that she spent out there on the beach.
I was thinking about how Ozzy said that it didn't just come from him. And now I'm just worried that if it didn't just come from him, I'm this big, awful, so selfish, spoiled bitch. And it makes me regret coming.
Sophie, you're still in this game. Sophie wins final immunity!
And you are the Dragon Slayer.
The winner of Survivor South Pacific, Sophie.
Sophie is one of the best Survivor players I have ever played with.
Playing with Sophie was actually a great experience. She was very smart. She was very steady. Wasn't prone to too much, waffling here or there. And so I really enjoyed playing with her.
And for sure, she writes my name down pregame to vote me out, right? And then look who it was, the duo, Sophie and Sarah.
She is really, really good at making people feel comfortable and of making them feel like she's loyal to them even when she's not.
Do I feel as a competitor that Sophie deserved to win that season? Well, of course she did. I mean, when you go and play, there's a winner and there's a loser. And so Sophie won that game.
Sophie's legit. I mean, she's funny. She's super smart. She's really likable. She doesn't come off like fake or she's scary good. Like, I mean it, she's good.
Sophie proved herself beyond a reasonable doubt in Survivor Winners at War as one of the best ever played.
Sophie was a strategic player. She was good at challenges, and she kept her head on her shoulder when it mattered most, and that was the final tribal.
We had some plans that would have shook the game up, but she got eliminated. But for sure, Sophie's probably she's in like my top 3 winners of all time.
From Sophie Clarke to our number 43 survivor is a lateral move, as they both have won the game and their second time playing saw them both finishing in the middle of the pack. However, he is the only player in Survivor history to have ever been injured on day 39.
The winner of Survivor XLI.
This has been an amazing ride, and hopefully there will be an amazing reward at the end of it. But I'm just so grateful that I got the time out here that I got. I'll never forget the moments that I spent out here and the people that I spent the moments with.
Aras is the leader of this absolutely insane alliance, and at the end of the day, he brings them to the end, and I think that's what ends up helping him win. But his rivalry with Terry, I think, is so underrated, because obviously Terry is one of the best challenge beasts we've ever seen in Survivor history. But Aras, 20-something-year-old guy, and he's going up against this U.S. Navy fighter pilot, and he holds his own against him. And obviously Terry ends up winning the majority of them. But I think something that, this relationship that was once a really, really contentious rivalry and really was throughout the entire game ends up becoming this really great relationship. And in the end, Terry's almost excited to vote for Aras to win the game. So I think their rivalry is really underrated. And I think it's one of the best challenge rivalries we'll ever see.
At the next reward challenge, the rivalry between Terry and Aras got physical. Hey, man! Whoa, easy, guys! 2 battering rams! And when Aras won the reward, Aras wins reward! Yes! Things got personal.
The first time out, we were only allowed 1 pass.
Yes.
Terry, every time somebody else wins, are you going to say you got host?
Keep it up. Just keep it up.
Aras wins immunity! The first time, somebody other than Terry is wearing individual immunity.
Aras and Terry's relationship is based on rivalry. It's all, it's that macho thing. I'm definitely caught in the middle between, these 2 guys that have this testosterone, match every day. Who can catch the biggest fish, the most fish? Who can beat who's better? Who's the tough guy out of they go back and forth all the time.
Yeah! Comes from behind to win reward! You are the ultimate competitor, man. Ultimate. I'm telling you what.
I am just so used to writing this name down. Of the 2 of you, you're head and shoulders the winner. Congratulations.
Looking back on it, 15, 16 years later, what do you think about you versus Aras, and why do you think you ended up winning the game?
Why should he? Well, obviously between he and Danielle, I thought he was the better survivor, both in actual survival skills, challenges, and then how he played the game and who he got together on his side socially to carry him through the entire game. He, and then the other people in the tribe ended up kind of putting him up on a pedestal, making him the leader. So obviously he's the one that would, come after me. And athletically, he was the best that they had. So, athletically, it was he and I going at each other all the time. And, in the end, he and I became really good friends. He's a really good guy. He's super competitive. I watched Dick Vitale doing gameplay. I think it was UCLA against UC Irvine, and Aras is bringing the ball up the court, and I'm like, oh my God, I know that guy. It was a replay of some game, and it's almost like a little brother. We ended up being super competitive.
Once again, while moving on from Aras to our number 42 survivor, has us seeing yet another winner who finished in the middle of the pack on their second season. This survivor set the record for finding a hidden immunity idol as late in the game as possible on day 37. This makes winning as a super fan that much sweeter.
A lot of the game, we were not really worried about Adam. But when you go back and watch it and you hear him explain the decisions he was making all along the way, he's a very, very smart player. And I think that's what really got him to the end, and obviously got him a unanimous vote at the end of the game.
Guy right here in the maroon, in the middle, what's your name?
Adam.
All right, Adam.
Probst.
Yes. See what I mean? So, you hear that? That's the rap on millennials. Participation trophies, we don't want to work. Ring true to you?
I don't think so. I think when we win the first immunity challenge, we'll see who really has to work to win.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm just gonna put this on just to feel good. I just found the hidden immunity idol. This is like beyond my wildest dreams. I finally went for it today and I got it.
Mom, this is for you. I love you so much. Can I tell you something that I haven't told anyone in this game? What? My mom has stage 4 lung cancer.
You know why I'm playing this game and why it's so important to me, okay? And you were in the way.
Okay.
Adam Klein, he's Adam Klein, man. No one can be even close to anywhere remotely similar to that dude. He was not only a good friend out on the island, someone that I could talk to about real life stuff, but also at the same time, what a pain in the ass, because he never wanted to work together and he was always doing his own thing and he was coming after me and chasing me the whole time. And then I didn't cover my numbers, so bye. I mean, Adam never stops working. He's always thinking, he's always scheming, he's always finding a way through any crack that he can find. So I applaud him for that, because I was the same exact way, and I just remember taking one night off, and that was the night that he was able to get Brett to go onto his side with Chris Hammonds, and I was like, damn it. It was all the coconuts and all the old meat that I ate.
Winner of Survivor Millennials versus Gen X, Adam.
The amazing thing about Adam Klein is that he did what every huge Survivor fan dreams of doing, and he did it so well. Not only did he get the chance to play the game that he loved so much growing up, he goes out there and wins it, and then lives every super fan's dream and gets asked back for the all-winner season and is one of the biggest stars on the season. It's absolutely incredible. Adam totally deserves his place in the top 100. He probably should be higher than wherever he's coming in. But I love Adam, and I love everything he's done for the game. And as a super fan, I'm happy he represents all the other super fans on Survivor.
Our number 41 survivor is someone who was the clear fan favorite in her first season, but by the time she finished on her second, she had become the villain. However, she is the first woman to return to Survivor on a non-all returnee season, and is also the first ever survivor to be on a tribe of 1.
Her job, she was a pharmaceutical rep, and she used to sell like poop samples, like how to make your poop. And I said, That's Stephenie. She knows her shit.
It is day 39. Danny and I woke up this morning with smiles on our faces because last night was the last night that we are sleeping in the Guatemalan jungle with all these crazy creatures. I was the one that overcame every odd. I was the one with the target on my back. And then to get to the last day in the final two, you know, I'm really proud of myself. I can't believe I would ever in a million years be able to do that.
Stephenie has one of the most interesting arcs in Survivor history. I think her first game in Palau, she is America's sweetheart, and she's the final oolong standing. She wins the fire making challenge against Bobby John, and she's a fighter. I think that's something that nobody can argue, regardless of any of her 3 games. I mean, even in Heroes versus Villains, like she's scrapping on her way out. So I think that's what's really respectable, and I think that's what a lot of people really love about Stephenie. But I find her to be so fascinating because she seems to have kind of the anti-Jerry arc, and I like that about her.
I did everything in my power to get me as far as I could in this game. I don't know what the jury is going to throw at me, but whatever they throw at me, I'm definitely going to have an answer. I mean, I have good reasons for every move I made in this game. None of them are going to scare me. Bottom line is I outwitted, outplayed, and outlasted every single one of them. And that's why I'm in the final 2 and they're not.
People don't know that Jeff Probst, for example, will scream at people when they're playing Survivor if they're not giving him what he wants. I'm not going to give examples or whom or name people, but it's like they forget what they're there for. That this is a $36 million shoot, 2 seasons of roughly $30 million. And by golly, we brought you guys out here to play a game, and we need stuff from you. You can't get in there and do this interview and, you know, well, what did you like about Survivor? I had a really good time. What did you think about the challenge today? It was pretty good. You know, give me something to work with, you know, for these things. And so I understood that about the show.
Next time on the top 100 greatest survivors. 60 down, 40 to go. On next week's episode, we add 3 more winners to the ranks. We also add 1/2 of one of Survivor's greatest dynamic duos. 3 of Survivor's most popular male contestants ever. And a 3-time player who is a staple in the new school side of Survivor's history. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And as always, stay tuned and keep hope alive.
The Russell HANTZ Show presents TRHS Sports, your home for daily fantasy sports news from around the league. Draft preparation, roster move strategies, injury updates, and expert advice from Russell HANTZ and his team of fantasy gurus. If you're looking to make big bucks and win your league, look no further than TRHS Sports. Don't forget to subscribe to TRHS Sports.
I can control how they think. If I can whoop these all-stars, doesn't that mean I'm the best ever?
I'm Russell HANTZ, and this is the Russell HANTZ Show.